Welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are listening to this. I'm welcoming my co-host, Anthony. How are you doing today, Anthony?
I'm doing wonderful. It is very hot in Florida, but I'd rather the hot than the freezing colds. And I hope everybody out there in podcast land is keeping cool.
I'm telling you, it's kind of up and down over here, but more up than down. So it's, the evenings aren't bad, but the daytimes, yeah, that's another story. But I still rather take it over winter. So
Too.
anyway,
Well, let's heat things up today on the podcast.
yes, yes, with our guest who is hot, and that's in many ways, but it's her career. Wow. She's someone who has spent her career helping actors find the truth in a performance and then stepping behind the camera to tell those stories herself. She is an award-winning director, renowned acting coach, author, and educator whose students have included some of the most recognizable names in film and television. Her directing work has taken her from the powerful true story of Miranda's victim to The Italians and Under the Stars. And she's showing no signs of slowing down with Starstruck, Helios, and Party Crasher among the projects ahead. She is also the creator of the Golden Box acting technique and the founder of Creative Center for the Arts, continuing her commitment to helping the next generation of performers and filmmakers develop their craft. And we're very happy to welcome back Michelle Danner.
Welcome, welcome,
Hi,
welcome.
how are you? Thanks for having me
Great,
again.
thank
How are
you.
you?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, it's been quite a few years since the last time we spoke, and you haven't slowed down one single bit.
Yes, I've been busy, that's for sure.
Well, with continuing to directing while still coaching actors, when you're behind the camera, how much of the acting coach in you comes out when you're working with a performer?
I think the training that I have as an acting coach is probably ingrained in me, so I don't think about it. I just work with my instincts. And I remember, when I teach class, I always talk about the fabulous actress Judi Dench. And she gave an interview where she said, it's all instinct. And I thought to myself, yeah, well, after 40 years of technique, of course, it's all
Right.
instinct. But I think when you have studied technique a lot, it has to become that. You have to just trust your instincts. And so I think it's all together. There's an amalgamation of all of it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna name drop for a second. You have coached some of my favorite actors for sure. Christian, Zoe Deschanel, Gerard Butler. How when do you know that the person has it, and what is it that you see in them that tells you this is someone that's going to be committed to the craft?
That's a great question. I think it's something about having your feet on the floor and being in reality about a certain aspect of what it takes to have a career and also to sustain a career, to have longevity. I think that there's a lot of, you break through for a movie or a TV show, and then you have a short-lived career, as opposed to, understanding the long haul. And the long haul requires a certain down-to-earthness, I believe.
I love what you
You
said. If I can just follow up on that for
go
one
ahead.
second, do you are you of the school that all of the disciplines are needed to hit that space where you can go on instinct alone, the theater, live audience, you know, to film, television, and even the some of the improv.
Well, absolutely. I think that you have to have a vast knowledge and experience in all mediums and genres. Not everybody, can play comedy. I'm sure there's so many discussions around a casting table whether this actor or that actor can play comedy or not. But as an actor, it certainly behooves you to go, I can do comedy, I can do drama, I can even sing, and even if I don't sing. I always tell my students that you can put over a song After all, they wanted Glenn Close to be in Sunset Boulevard on Broadway, over Patti LuPone, and they paid Patti LuPone a lot of money, but she had the voice. But Glenn Close had something else that resonated more for them in that part. So, this idea of being, of carrying many hats and knowing how to do different things in your craft, I think are very important. And of course, it's not going to surprise you that I believe that actors should study the craft of acting. If you were a doctor,
Exactly.
before you go in and do surgery, you're going to be
Uh,
studying for several years, and accountants will study, and even producers. That's a trade. That's a craft to produce something, and you have to study how to do that. If not, you're a hack and you don't really know how to do it, and you're flying by the seat of your pants. And that, of course, happens a lot.
Well, is that where the golden box technique comes in? I mean, you've taught that internationally too, as well, for years. Can you explain to
Yeah.
our audience what that's about and if it's changed at all since acting has changed?
Well, the golden box technique is having a toolbox that actors should have their own very personalized, unique toolbox where they have different insights, different ways of working, so that when they get a script, they know how to break it down, they know how to create a character, they know how to go on set or on stage to make choices. And of course, you replenish that toolbox all the time. You take out tools, you put new tools in, you keep learning. It never ends. The learning curve never ends, especially when you're working in this field. But you can also say that many other fields.
you've built an impressive career, but it's definitely taken its shifts in direction. How much of that is intentional, and how much of it is the road offered a bend and you decided to take it?
It's both, I think. It's going with the flow and then making conscious, intentional decisions of moving my path that way. I usually make my best decisions, I always say that, on the beach. There's something about looking at the ocean and it makes me reflect. I also make some decisions when I'm traveling, when I look at the clouds up in the sky. But some of it is very conscious, and some of it you just go with the flow of it and you trust that life takes you in the directions that you need to go to.
Well, that's a very
Age.
interesting way of making decisions. Does does a cloud just like all of a sudden put the letters out? Yes, Michelle, take that road. So, and I would imagine it's the peace and the quiet and having your mind be still and be able to think about those different things.
I think that's exactly right. As of lately, unfortunately, and I've traveled quite a lot this last year alone, aside from all the other years,
Hmm.
but I used to not get the internet on the flight. I used to not get, connected. So I used to, and it was great 5, 6, 7, 12 hours, whatever it was, to really disconnect. And as of lately, I don't know, maybe because things have gotten busier, I log in and now I'm, on, and I don't get as
Hmm.
much rest and reflection time as I would like to. So I have to really think about that and maybe keep disconnecting on those flights.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've actually had to do that lately myself because I will find myself continually scrolling social media because of what Anthony and I do, trying to keep
Yeah.
up with the news and, who's the new player and who's got a project going. And so I'm, constantly doing this. And so I have to take at least an hour out of the day to not do that, just to put it down and leave it alone. And then when I find my eyes looking back at it, I'm like, nope, you know, put it over
Yeah.
there.
My
So,
Saturdays are intentional disconnection day.
yeah,
I look once in the morning, once in the evening, and but the rest of the day it needs to be kind of present because the rest of the week we're in this. Yeah.
right,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah. So with your directing work, um, what makes you read a script and say to yourself, I need to do this one? No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I have to connect to the story. It's just too much of a commitment. it's too much. You have to, it's really 2 years of your life between, at least, if not more, between developing it, between prepping for it, shooting it, doing the post, and after that, being part of whatever part of marketing, trailer, interviews, talking about it. It's incredible. It's a lot of work. So I have to connect to the story. It has to do something for me. And there's plenty of scripts that I read that are sent my way that I don't connect. And then some I do. And those are the ones that I say yes. It doesn't mean because I say yes, by the way, that it happens, that we make the movie. But
Oh,
we try. Yes, this is
who is that?
these are my wonderful little companions.
Welcome
I
to
didn't
Take
know
Two
whose
Radio,
house was.
friends, because I have three
No,
guide dogs in my house.
they
We
they're
we all have
Australian
dogs,
shepherds.
so
They're Australian shepherds, and they are incredible guard dogs. But the thing is, they bark at everybody, even people that live in the house. They seem
my
to be
dog
blind
does that too.
occasionally.
Well, let me go back to you've got quite a few projects in the pipeline, and I'm going to start with one of my favorite genres to escape to the romantic comedy.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about Stardust.
No, Starstruck.
Starstruck,
Starstruck.
excuse me.
Although I'll tell you,
Starstruck.
that's a nice name. I like Stardust, but um, it's a romantic comedy. It centers around someone who downloads an app, an astrological app, and their life goes topsy-turvy, upside down. Um, that is played by Matthew Daddario, who I worked with before, who I absolutely love. He does a phenomenal job here. And Alice Eve is his romantic interest in the movie. And I was lucky enough to have another great ensemble cast comprised of Billy Zane and Lauren Tom and Doug Jones, Josh Bowman, Catherine Bell, Rob Estes, Jennifer Grant, David DeLuise. I just had these great actors that came on set. Taylor Talley, Matt Silver, Najee Jetters, who I also worked with before. And it's fun. I'm in post right now. I'm working on the music and working on the visual effects, and we'll have it ready after Labor Day. And it is a labor of love and also entertaining. I don't know if it's a sign of me aging, but I find myself at night before going to sleep, I only want to look at lighter content. I don't,
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't when I know, especially, oh, something bad's going to happen here. I just kind of switch to something else. I don't want to sleep on that note.
Yeah.
I have
I
discovered
am
cozy mysteries and I'm addicted. Like, you get a little
Yeah.
recipe at the end of the chapter. There might be a murder, but it's so gentle and, everything's going to be happy by the end of the
Murder can
book.
be gentle.
Which one? Which
um,
which show is that?
I do a lot of audiobooks and I'm addicted to like comfy mysteries, like the Diva series, Krista Davis and things like that. A lot of these
I
go to Hallmark
see.
actually. Woods is another one who her stuff is going to Hallmark that I love reading because, at the end, you're guaranteed a happy ending and everybody, finds their way through the problems. And in this day and age, I don't want to put my head on the pillow after news. I want to refresh myself from something else.
Exactly. I feel the same way.
Yeah. And I've always been a huge comedy fan, and that's pretty much what you'll see on my TV when it's on. I like watching the old comedies, like, on TV Land and on CMT, they have The King of Queens and Everybody Loves Raymond and stuff like that. And of course, romantic comedies are at the top of my list. And that cast, wow.
Yeah.
That cast of Starstruck is amazing. I can't wait to see that. Is that something that's going to be in the theater, or do you know what? Probably not
I
yet
Distribution.
at this
don't
point.
I don't know yet. We have a lot of interest from a lot of different distributors, so it'll be interesting to see
Oh,
where this one
good,
lands.
good. That's
We'll
wonderful. Well,
see.
you're going from one end of the spectrum to the other with Helios, which is a futuristic psychological thriller. What excites you about directing something so different from your previous work?
Well, I've always been fascinated by sci-fi, but mostly this takes place half in space and half on Earth. It deals
Hmm.
with the solar flares, you know, destroying the Earth. I did not know a lot about it, but I was fascinated by it. But ultimately, the reason why they asked me to direct it, it's because it's a story about human beings, about humanity, and reminding people what it's like to be human. And and that is something I'm also fascinated with. I'm always very interesting to see how people behave, especially when the shit hits the fan and
Hmm.
something really bad is about to happen. The people that rally together, that step up for one another, and those that don't, that turn against one another. So those are the stories that I'm also very interested in telling.
Well, it seems like you've been skipping through like the genres, so to speak, because Party Crashers now takes you, into full on action. We were talking sort of about balance and going with the flow slash the bends in the road. How much of these projects were intentional and how much of them were something came along, you went with the flow, and then it became intentional?
That's exactly right. The last thing of what you said. I went with the flow. It was offered and then it became intentional. It became something I really wanted to do.
So tell us a little about Party Crashers real quick.
So Party Crasher is more like it's a comedy drama movie. It's based on a true story. And it's got also a wonderful theme in it that runs through it, which appealed to me, which is what it's like to strive to be a better person. And this happened to someone real, to a real person. It's based on a true story, Craig Schmel, who has done TED Talks about it and who has been on morning shows and has written a book called The Uninvited. And I'm very excited. So we wrote the screenplay basically of his life and how he pushed the envelope and, pushed it and cut every line. He got on stage and sang at the Grammys with Michael Jackson. He got on Trump's yacht at the time. He went to Russia and broke all the rules. And it's a very interesting story, but at the core of it, it's really about wanting, needing to contribute something to this world and really be a better person. And he found this therapist. So now it's Catch Me, if you can, meets Goodwill Hunting. He finds a therapist that really wakes him up and gets him to see life for what it really is. And it's a great story. It's really a great story. I think it can help people to remind them of what it's like to strive and raise the bar and to find the best in themselves.
That's awesome. How much responsibility do you feel, extra responsibility do you feel when you're directly telling someone's story versus a story someone created?
Well, it's not the first time that I have worked on a true story, and there is an enormous amount of responsibility, of course, especially the people are alive, and um, and you want to do right by them.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about this movie is another favorite of mine, a teaching moment. Even though it's based on a true story, you can still get something out of it, even though you're not that person in the movie. And that's another thing that truly interests me, and I watch a lot of too,
Mhm.
when I'm watching TV, that is. So, with your directing career continuing to grow, has your definition of success changed from when you first started? And with all of these movies, do you ever actually take a vacation?
I do. I just came from 2 weeks in Europe.
Oh,
But I couldn't resist. We went to Paris, which was always great because I spent a lot of time growing up in Paris. We went to the Louvre. Um, and then we went to Greece. We went to Athens, which was unbelievably great. And then to Mykonos, because my nephew was graduating and it was his graduating gift. So we joined my family in Mykonos, and that was fun. I had never been there. Talk about a
mm.
study in characters. From
Yeah.
there, we took a plane and went to Dubrovnik, to Croatia. And I have to tell you, that jumped up on the top of my list. I thought that was extraordinary. I the driver that drove us to the hotel, I said, "Oh, I can't wait. How's the ocean here?" And he goes, "It's not an ocean." He said, "It's an Adriatic Sea." And then later on, a few minutes later, I made the mistake again. I called it an ocean, and he corrected me. And then the third time, when he corrected me again, we all burst into laughter. But the Adriatic Sea in Croatia is really beautiful. And I just finished watching a TV show last night called The Day of the Jackal with an actor that I'm going to work with, which was very good TV show, and a lot of it was taking place in Croatia. So when I was there, I met with the producers that did Game of Thrones and the head of the film commission. I mean, it's a great place to shoot. So I do go on vacation, and I sometimes combine it with a little work.
Well, it seems, you've had a great career thus far, and it does not seem like you're slowing down. But outside of the acting, producing, outside of the camera business, is there a bucket list item you've always wanted to try?
Um, yeah, I think I'm doing my bucket list. I really have to tell you this. Uh, every year we do trips all over the world. I think I'm living it. There's nothing really that I would like to do that I'm not doing. And if there is something that goes on my to-do list, I make it happen. So I'm going to Arizona tomorrow to look at sound stages and talk to people about shooting movies there. Some great producers are hosting me. And I feel like I'm very aware of it. I think all artists maybe to a certain extent are, you know, think about mortality, and I certainly do. I don't
Mm.
really care
Yeah.
about legacy, and I don't care about any of that. I care that I'm present for my kids, and that one of my kids, the older one, graduated from USC. He went to film school and the School of Dramatic Arts, and he's making movies. He's been working with me, and I'm going to produce a movie he's going to direct next year, a horror movie. Not my genre completely, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's
You do
actually a
what
really
you
great,
do. You do it
it's a
for
Wow.
great
family,
script.
right?
Yeah, no, it's a great script. I mean, he's supported me the last five
Hmm.
movies. He's even, as a ghost writer, he's rewritten some. With Helios, he did such a major contribution as a writer that he ended up getting a writer credit on it. Um, with
Oh,
this
that's so
with the
nice.
Helios one. No, he's very, very gifted, and I'm excited to be on set with him and for him to call action.
Wow. Pam, I think we have to do it. You sound so grounded and so content with life, and I don't mean complacent. I mean content. Is there any advice you give to folks that are struggling, starting out? That what advice do you have to get to that place of contentment?
Um, I think you have to develop some patience to understand how it works, how the studying works. I recently met with two actors, and I thought to myself, I don't think they're in reality. I don't think they really understand. So I tried to help them and tell them you have to do this and take this step. I think it's about really understanding how it works.
Great advice. So at this point, we always ask folks to shout out their socials so they can find out more information. We, of course, will put all of the stuff we spoke about in our show notes, but where can they find you? Where can they find your work?
MichelleDanner.com, the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory is the school, Michelle Danner Acting Studio. If they want to know a little bit more about the films, All in Films. And of course, the Instagram, which is M. Danner LA Actors International. Those will be good places.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Pam. What another great conversation to put out there into
Absolutely.
podcast land.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to everybody listening to this. I had an amazing time talking to you again. And you're always welcome. We know that you're going to be busy, so next time you want to bring family, you can
Bring
bring
your son, yes.
family.
Thank you. I will tell him that. He speaks very well, my son. I told him he's gonna do a lot of it. He's so sweet. He went to a meeting, but he listened to an interview that I did yesterday and he said, "Oh, Mom, you're so good. You speak so well." And I'm thinking, well, one of these days I'm gonna be listening to your interviews.
Yeah, exactly. And if he was the one setting your mic up and stuff like that, he told us that he was doing that. And we were talking about another actress, um, about a movie that she was in. And he said, "Oh, I like her too."
That's great.
So, yes, we would love to have him someday too.
Thank you.
Well, good luck
You're
with
welcome.
everything, and hopefully we will speak with you soon with some more great projects and your son and maybe the dogs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. We'll bring the dogs too. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
All
Talk to
right,
you
Great.
Pam.
later.
Take care.
Till next time.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Take Two Radio. That's with the number 2. For Take Two Radio The Remix, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Take Two Radio The Remix, again with the number 2. For all things Anthony and Sunday Edition, go to anthonycorona.com, and that's CORONA. Until next time, thanks for listening.